The vortex doesn't take her. She somehow escapes it. That's when her strength is still at a local maximum, but it's plummeting fast from the wounds, the blood loss, the knock to the head, the exhaustion, the shock, and the cold water leaching her strength, and mainly from the weight of her combat load, which only the highly trained and super fit can swim with for any length of time. The rolling waves smack her in the face every time she tries to grab a breath, and even the air above is half water, rain coming down and bouncing back up, churning and misting the surface. Her arms and legs scream with lactic acid, and she has to use every ounce of muscle strength, cardiovascular capacity, and even mitochondrial cellular energy to keep her head above the surging waves. And she can't just tread water. She has to get to shore. It's not only her vision that's still fuzzy, but also her mind, and she struggles to call up an image of the nav console with her last position on it. She's pretty sure the closest section of coastline was due east, where the mainland juts out just above the sheltering peninsula to the south. Trouble is, she's on water, in the dark, with no stars visible, in a fucking storm, battling to stay afloat, and not what you'd call perfectly oriented. And if she gets this one wrong, she's dead. She'll die battling and floundering and gasping, finally slipping under the waves, and no one will ever know or even find her body, any more than those doomed fishermen on the Andrea Gale. Then again, no one will find the bodies of all the people she left behind in her relentless and single-minded quest for survival. The ones she left to die. So maybe this is what she deserves. Maybe she should just give up and slip under the waves. But giving up is so unthinkable, so abhorrent, has been so completely beaten out of her in training, indoctrination, and operations, that even now it's too awful and foreign to contemplate. And the unrelenting will to survive is utterly hardwired not just into Yael from her unique and tragic personal history, but also into the very species. So she gets back in her combat side stroke, which is most efficient and will keep her on the right side of the water longest, and just keeps kicking and stroking, heading the direction her boat was pointing, namely west, last time she saw it. She also remembers the storm was blowing in directly from the Atlantic, so checks her solution by heading straight into the teeth of the wind, and much worse, into the teeth of the swelling and rolling waves, each of which tries to bury her. But she's not under the earth or the waves just yet. And as the man said, everything you want lies on the other side of fear, or in this case, on the other side of this storm-lashed open-water survival and loaded swim bullshit. Then again, all she has to do is keep stroking, keep kicking, and somehow keep breathing. One stroke, one kick, one desperate breath at a time. That's it. That's everything. It's just like unit selection. Keep taking steps, keep moving forward, keep hanging in, 1 minute, one evolution, one step at a time. The quotation hits just keep on coming, and she remembers another. This one about the SOF World's most notorious selection course, namely for that other unit, Delta, a founding member of which said, "What was the lesson here? Simple. Don't quit. Never quit, no matter what. Keep going until someone tells you to sit down. Keep going as long as you're able to move, no matter how poorly you think you may be doing. Just don't quit." Then again, that was easy for that motherfucker to say. He was on land. Right now, a 40-mile night march with a 70-pound ruck, Delta's infamous long walk, sounded pretty damn good. The height of Yael's face above the water can be measured in centimeters when it's not negative, and there's blackness in every direction and in all 3 dimensions, so she can't begin to see a goddamn thing ahead of her. Once again, it's like Delta selection, where they notoriously never told you how far you had left to go. She just had to trust the edge of land is out there, and that it's close, or she's not going to live to see it. She ditches the assault pack. Ammo is heavy, seriously fucking heavy. And it's not just that she has no prayer of staying afloat with the pack, it's also that there's a fucking hydration sleeve full of water inside. Admittedly, fresh water should be slightly buoyant in salt water, but still it produces drag, and the prospect of drowning in the sea to keep a bag of water strapped to her is just too horrible, not to mention ridiculous, to bear. Being able to keep fighting another hour in heavy contact is great, but only if she lives long enough to get into contact on shore, which right now is a long shot at best. Finally, those spare socks are soaked, making them useless, so fuck the assault pack. But the reduction in weight is less than the reduction in her plummeting strength. She's breathing and swallowing more water and less air with every desperate lunge back to the surface. Her head is pounding more and not less, and her lats, delts, biceps, and quads are all threatening imminent muscle failure, if not collapse. The vest has to go next, but she doesn't think she can get it off. She'll drown trying, which means the rifle has to go. And that's a kind of loss and pain with no analog. An operator is naked without his primary weapon. For a man, it would be like handing over his dick on a platter. It was just something you didn't ever fucking do. Without her rifle, she won't be an operator. She won't even be herself. Not one she'll recognize. But this is what it comes to. She's going to have to negate herself and doom her future self to have any chance of making it to that future alive. She's being stripped naked, everything taken away. Naked and alone. She has already, eyes wide, cold-bloodedly abandoned everyone who might stand with her, left them all behind, let them die. And now all the inanimate crap she counted on to keep her alive is also being taken away. Soon, nothing will be left but her. Whatever the hell that is, if anything. Her hand pats around for the quick release on the rifle sling. Pain rockets through her injured knee. It's just slammed into something. A rock. She extends her legs, boots bogging down in wet sand. It's the bottom. She's 50 feet from shore. Costing her dearly, depleting the last dregs of strength she doesn't even have, she half spacewalks, half wades, and strokes forward until she's in 2 feet of water, then crawls on all fours, and finally drags herself on her belly until she's to the edge of the surf, then finds just enough strength to roll on her back and collapse. If there are dead or pirates on this beach, she's all theirs, supine, helpless, and already nearly dead for the taking. Yeah, no, she thinks. Fuck that. Trembling, she gets her Glock out and lays it across her chest, and she lies there sucking wind and staring up at the falling rain as the waves wash around her and carve her into the sand.